Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Kengan Omega Chapter 149. Before I get into this week's review, as always, if you haven't already, you should definitely be sure to subscribe and help us reach our goal for 2022 of hitting 5,000 subscribers. In addition to that, if you haven't already, you should be sure to drop a like on the video. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into this week's review. So, this chapter was split into two. The first part came out last week. It felt kind of short. Like, there really wasn't that much that happened in it, and then we got this week's chapter, which feels like the majority of the content for chapter 149. So, to quickly go over what happened in last week's portion of the chapter, the Worm is now doing global acts of terrorism. It's been a 2-year time skip, so, some things have changed, and one of those things is that the Worm has become far more blatant in its actions, and is doing straight-up terrorism everywhere, so that's great. The other important thing is that Koga went over to Purgatory for some time to become a fighter. He had his debut in the Kengan matches, and then transferred over to Purgatory for some time, and then after like a year has now come back to Kengan, where he has had his rematch with Kokoro, and he kind of kicked Kokoro's ass. He beat him relatively easily. So, Koga's gotten a lot stronger. Kokoro's presumably gotten stronger as well. Koga currently is a B-list gladiator in Purgatory. He has 1 win and 1 loss in Purgatory. So I'd say he's probably like a B-rank fighter, probably. Not quite Oma defeating level, despite it being 2 years, and he said he would reach that level in 1, he's probably stronger than the Oma that beat the shit out of him like 5 years ago, so I guess he kind of kept his promise in that respect. But the significant thing here is that Koga is part of a new generation of fighters. We got introduced to the new generation at the start of Omega, but since it's been a 2-year time skip, which means it's now 4 years after the Annihilation Tournament, we've got a new generation, and this consists of 5 up-and-coming fighters who are making big waves in the underground fighting scene, and these guys are referred to as the Supernovas. That's right, we're just ripping off One Piece here. I don't know if this is a thing that happens in manga all the time, but, literally One Piece. So the other members of the Supernovas are the God of Saigon, Namnat, who I think is from Vietnam, if I understand correctly. Then we have the Miracle of Sao Paulo, Leonardo Silva, who's Brazilian. We have the Mighty Monk, Onoda Ikai. And then we have a character that we've actually seen before, because his name has been referenced in the past, and he appeared in a Volume Extra chapter, Godspeed, Kim Jang-ji. Yes, the guy that no one could remember on the Purgatory team. That's great. Well, it's cool to see that Kim has made his official appearance within the story, and that he's actually kind of relevant. He's a member of Purgatory's A-list, so he is presumably currently the strongest of the Supernovas. He has the best record with 7 wins and 1 loss in the A rank of Purgatory, so, he's a fairly formidable fighter. He's pretty strong. So it's cool to see him. I'm wondering how all of these guys are going to play into things. I do have to say that I think Nam and Leonardo kind of have boring designs, but Onoda, listen, I'll take a Buddhist monk design any day of the week, and we've already seen Kim's design from one of the volumes, and he looks good. He looks the most like an actual character out of all of them. Some of them just kind of look like side characters, honestly. They look like background characters. Kim actually looks like a real Kengan character. So Koga's victory over Kokoro was here right before all of his rivals. So as you can imagine, that's kind of a big important flex to have. So after his match, he talks to Ryuki. So apparently Ryuki has not just fallen off the face of the earth. Him and Koga are still friends with each other and they still talk. However, Ryuki has not come back to the fighting scene since the tournament yet, and that seems to, according to him at least, or under the belief of Koga, is because of the death of Nidon, of course. That maybe is still traumatizing him. It's not really clear. Because what Ryuki has been doing is he has been going around killing worms with Kiryu, whose hair has grown out a little bit since the Purgatory Tournament. He looks really good with the mid-length hair. I quite like it. Now, these two are here to hunt worms with Akoya, who is back in the Justice armor. And he's looking pretty good. Now, we know that after the Purgatory Tournament, Akoya wanted to get stronger because he didn't think he was strong enough to enforce justice. So presumably, Akoya has been training to get a lot stronger over the time skip. Akoya was already a pretty solid A-tier fighter. Like he was pretty solid. One of the stronger fighters. There were some arguments for him being in the top 10 Kengan fighters. If he's trained a lot over the last 2 years, I'm pretty confident Akoya's probably made his way up to S tier by now. He's probably S tier. As for Kiryu, Kiryu is already really strong. Like, Kiryu is already really solid S. He may be S plus now. And as for Ryuki, I don't know. He's probably the weakest out of this trio, but still probably significantly stronger than we last saw him. So these three are going off to kill the worms and save the world. Whatever that means. It's good to see Akoya has found more friends. He has more allies in justice. He has Ryuki and Kiryu now for doing that. So they are underneath the sewers of Japan. They have found a worm hideout that has 9 members in it. This looks to be some sort of weapon storage, bomb-making, distribution facility. So, as you can imagine, taking this out would be a very good thing in the war on terrorism, the war against the worm. Now, there is one thing here that might make us not want the Justice Boys to succeed, and this is the presence of a certain other character. Returned from the void, from which we thought he would probably never return. Lu Tien is back. The funny tongue man has returned. Everybody thought, oh, this dude we literally didn't even see him get fucking taken off the stage. We didn't even see them taking him out on a stretcher or anything. The dude was like a jobber with no fucking personality. He was basically a Naruto filler villain. And now he just doesn't exist anymore. He slipped into the back rooms. Sandro forgot he existed. And we're never going to see him again. But as it would turn out, we got it all wrong. Because he's back. Now, it seems like he still has Goihun partially activated. And he's hooked up to, like, some medical stuff here. So my interpretation of this is that using Goihun kind of messed him up a little bit. You know, there's a reason why they generally don't teach it to people outside the clans, because they're not built to handle it. And I think Lu kind of fucked up his body a little bit by using Goihun, especially using as much of it as he did. It seems he can't fully deactivate it. And I think that's taking a toll on his body. Now, this is bad, because Lu just came back now, and may actually be weaker, or not any stronger than his fight with Agito. Which is really bad, because he is going to be probably fighting 3 people who are all pretty strong on their own. I feel like Ryuki is probably the only one that doesn't really stand a chance against him. Kiryu can probably beat him, and Akoya most certainly can fight him. Akoya may even be able to beat him, depending on how much stronger he's gotten. So he just came back, and immediately things are not looking very good for the funny tongue man. So, you know, hoping things kind of work out for him. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see what happens to him in Chapter 150, the Big 150. I don't know if there's going to be anything big and important happening in this chapter. We still have a lot of other characters we need to catch up with, see what's been going on with them ever since the time skip. Because, you know, big things tend to happen over time skips. So I guess we'll have to see if we will keep our focus on the worm stuff next chapter, or if we're going to be going to check on some other characters. But with that, that's all I've got to say for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Kengan Omega chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Kengan Omega with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description, and since it's the end of the video, I might as well give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Archbear CJ2K, Neo, Dijon Redden, Honey Mustard, K-God, Chris Redfield, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, Chuck's Feed and Seed, Jakester Easy, Play Free Labs, Kanichi Kaneda, Strawbones, and Neverest. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it, and if you too want to get a shout out at some point during videos, or access to reviews for One Piece and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys around, take care.